Most people believe honesty and authenticity are universal virtues, that being genuine in all circumstances demonstrates integrity and strength of character. This belief destroys more careers, reputations, and opportunities than any deliberate malice ever could. The public sphere operates by entirely different rules than private life, rules that punish transparency and reward strategic presentation. What feels like authentic self-expression becomes ammunition in the hands of competitors. What seems like honest vulnerability appears as exploitable weakness to those watching carefully. Machiavelli spent his life observing how power is gained and lost, recognizing that those who fail to distinguish between private truth and public strategy condemn themselves to perpetual disadvantage. These 9 behaviors must be eliminated from any public setting where reputation, influence, or advancement matter. Each violation broadcasts weakness that observers will remember and eventually exploit. Revealing your true emotional state. Unguarded emotional display in public creates immediate vulnerability that adversaries file away for future exploitation. When genuine feelings surface visibly on one's face, in one's voice, or through one's body language, observers gain dangerous intelligence about internal states and psychological pressure points. Anger reveals what truly matters, showing competitors exactly which topics or situations trigger loss of control. Fear broadcasts insecurity about specific areas, inviting targeted attacks designed to intensify that fear. Excessive joy exposes attachments and values that can become leverage points for manipulation. Sadness demonstrates wounds that strategic cruelty can deepen. Every authentic emotional response is data that others collect and store. The person who allows their emotional reality to play across their features in public spaces hands away strategic information freely. Machiavelli understood that emotional transparency is a luxury only available to those with no enemies and no ambitions. For everyone operating in competitive environments, the public face must be carefully managed. This management is not about becoming emotionless, but about understanding that emotions are private intelligence that should never be broadcast. The psychological challenge lies in the gap between internal experience and external presentation. Inside, frustration may be overwhelming, anxiety crushing, or grief unbearable. Yet the public mask must remain carefully controlled or strategically expressive only in ways that serve specific purposes rather than reflect authentic states. The difficulty of maintaining this separation creates tremendous internal pressure. Humans have deep needs for emotional expression and authentic connection. Suppressing genuine feelings to maintain strategic advantage generates psychological tension that accumulates in the body and seeks release. Those unskilled in emotional management find themselves having outbursts at catastrophic moments, precisely because they've been containing so much. The emotion explodes when defenses momentarily lower, often with devastating consequences to reputation and position, displaying weakness or incompetence. Any visible struggle with tasks others perceive as basic competence creates lasting damage to reputation and authority. When someone fumbles publicly with responsibilities expected of their position, observers immediately downgrade their assessment of capabilities. This downgrade occurs rapidly and reverses slowly, if at all. The psychological impact of witnessed incompetence operates on multiple levels simultaneously, raising questions about how the person achieved their current position, creating doubt about their judgment in other areas, and inviting testing from rivals who sense opportunity in demonstrated weakness. Machiavelli observed that the appearance of competence matters more than actual skill in many public contexts. Those who perform tasks smoothly in public view, even if they struggle privately, maintain their authority. Those who reveal their struggles publicly, even if they eventually succeed, damage their standing permanently. The emotional experience of public incompetence is acutely painful, as shame floods the system when recognizing that others are witnessing failure. This shame often compounds the problem as it interferes with performance, creating a downward spiral where awareness of being watched struggling makes the struggle worse. The strategic error is not the incompetence itself, but its public display. Everyone has areas of weakness and skills they have not mastered. The difference between those who maintain power and those who lose it lies in managing where these weaknesses become visible. The skilled operator ensures that struggles happen privately, that learning occurs away from judgmental eyes, that mistakes are made where they won't become public knowledge. Contradicting yourself publicly. Consistency in public statements creates the appearance of reliability and principle. When someone contradicts their previous positions publicly, multiple forms of damage occur simultaneously. They appear unprincipled, willing to say whatever serves immediate purposes without regard for truth or consistency. They seem confused or poorly informed, unable to maintain clarity about their own positions. They create opportunities for adversaries to highlight contradictions, using the person's own words against them with devastating effect. Machiavelli would recognize that holding contradictory positions across time is inevitable for anyone engaged in complex decisions over extended periods. The error is not the contradiction itself, but allowing both positions to be publicly visible in ways that can be easily compared. The skilled operator manages their public record carefully, framing position changes as responses to new circumstances rather than admissions of previous error. The sophisticated approach requires comfort with strategic ambiguity in public statements, using language that seems clear but contains flexibility to allow later repositioning without obvious contradiction. Admitting doubts about your position or abilities. Public expression of uncertainty regarding decisions, capabilities, or rightness of chosen paths creates immediate authority problems. The person who openly questions whether they made the right choice, whether they possess adequate skills, or whether their direction is sound appears to lack the confidence necessary for leadership or success. The psychological experience of doubt is universal, as anyone attempting difficult tasks experiences uncertainty, but Machiavelli understood that private doubt and public certainty must coexist for those seeking to maintain authority. The leader who expresses doubt publicly undermines follower confidence. The competitor who admits doubt about their capabilities invites direct challenge from rivals who smell opportunity. The sophisticated approach involves maintaining public certainty while processing doubts privately. The internal experience may involve significant uncertainty, but the public presentation projects confidence in chosen directions and clear belief in personal capabilities. This is not fraudulent performance, but strategic management of different contexts, showing mercy to enemies in view of others. Public displays of mercy toward adversaries create dangerous perceptions of weakness, while simultaneously failing to generate genuine loyalty from the spared enemy. The spared enemy rarely converts to loyal ally because they understand they were defeated and spared. This knowledge creates humiliation that often transforms into renewed enmity as the mercy becomes a reminder of their weakness and the victor's power. Rather than gratitude, the dynamic generates resentment and determination to reverse the power relationship. Observing audiences interpret public mercy as inability to follow through, weakness of will, or naive hope that mercy will generate loyalty. They downgrade their assessment of the merciful person's capacity for necessary ruthlessness. Other potential adversaries calculate that opposition to this person carries limited downside since defeat apparently doesn't result in serious consequences. The psychological mechanism behind public mercy often involves the desire to be seen as good or morally superior, but these hopes rest on fundamentally mistaken assumptions about how power operates in public contexts. Celebrating your success too openly. Excessive public celebration of achievement triggers envy, resentment, and coordinated efforts to diminish the successful person. The emotions underlying achievement celebration are powerful and valid, as accomplishing difficult goals generates joy and the natural desire to share this positive state. But Machiavelli understood that human nature includes deep envy of others' advantages. When someone displays their success prominently, they force comparisons that leave most observers feeling lesser. This comparison generates resentment even in those who bear no ill will toward the successful person. The resentment operates unconsciously in many cases as people tell themselves they are happy for another's success, while internally feeling diminished by the contrast. This hidden resentment seeks outlets as observers begin to minimize the achievement, attributing it to luck rather than skill or advantages rather than effort. The public celebration provides fuel for this resentment by making the success impossible to ignore. Those who might have simply moved past another's achievement if presented suddenly find themselves confronted with it repeatedly, forced to acknowledge it. Each forced acknowledgement deepens the resentment. Discussing your future plans in detail. Detailed public discussion of intentions, strategies, and future actions creates multiple vulnerabilities. Machiavelli recognized that surprise is among the most valuable strategic assets. When competitors know your intentions in advance, they prepare countermeasures, position themselves to benefit from your actions, or work directly to prevent your success. The person who announces publicly that they intend to pursue a particular opportunity finds that opportunity suddenly more crowded with competitors who learned of its value from the announcement. Beyond competitive disadvantage, public discussion of plans creates accountability problems. When plans are shared publicly, failure to execute exactly as described becomes visible. Circumstances change, better approaches emerge, or obstacles appear that require adjustment. The person who announced detailed plans publicly now faces choice between rigidly adhering to announced plans, even when circumstances call for adjustment, or appearing inconsistent when they deviate from public statements. The sophisticated operator shares plans only in carefully controlled contexts with fully trusted individuals, keeping public statements vague about intentions. Treating all people as equals publicly. Public displays of egalitarian treatment create practical problems for anyone seeking to maintain power or achieve objectives requiring hierarchy. Machiavelli recognized that power requires differentiation. Those who can help must be privileged over those who cannot. Those with influence must be cultivated more carefully than those without. The person who treats everyone identically, regardless of their position, power, or potential impact, operates inefficiently and signals that they do not understand how power works. When someone treats their superior the same as their subordinate, they insult the superior by failing to acknowledge the power differential. When they treat valuable allies the same as neutral parties, they fail to reinforce relationships that serve their interests. When they treat enemies the same as friends, they signal dangerous naivety that enemies will exploit. The skilled operator maintains internal respect for human dignity, while externally calibrating behavior based on strategic considerations. Treating people appropriately for strategic purposes while maintaining enough consistency that differentiation doesn't appear as transparent calculation. Criticizing those more powerful than yourself. Public criticism of superiors carries catastrophic risk, regardless of how justified the criticism might be. When someone openly attacks those with greater power, they initiate conflict with opponents who possess superior resources for retaliation. The emotional satisfaction of publicly denouncing perceived injustice in powerful figures is intense but brief. It feels courageous to speak truth to power and righteous to expose wrongdoing. But Machiavelli observed repeatedly that the powerful protect their image ruthlessly and punish those who damage it publicly. The criticism need not be false to generate retaliation. True criticism often provokes more vicious responses because it threatens the carefully maintained appearance the powerful person relies upon. When someone publicly exposes a flaw or wrongdoing of their superior, they create an enemy who now has motivation and means to destroy them. The superior cannot allow the criticism to stand without response, as that would signal weakness and invite additional attacks. The psychological trap is the assumption that truth or justice provides protection. The person delivering public criticism believes that if their claims are accurate, they will be vindicated. This expectation rarely materializes as most observers. Even those who privately agree will not risk their own positions by supporting someone attacking their superiors.